Powering here. I'm here with PvP notes that are going to be released with 10.0.5 patch. I think it's going to be great. We're just waiting on the servers to come back up. Let's go ahead and get into it. The Gladiator's Distinction Trinket set bonus, 40% decreased on primary stat with a 35% stamina increase bonus. I think that's great. Good for longer longevity fights. So that's going to be nice. It's not just all about who can burst the most. That's a bonus. We have Death Knights. They're the Unholy spec. Damage and survivability was too high, so they got a slight nerf. Um, they adjusted Death Strike's healing as a proactive survivability tool, so they kind of made it a little bit more skill based instead of more of a passive with their healing. And then they also took the 30% increased damage away from Virulent Plague. So I think that'll take away their damage a little bit. No big deal, but definite a bonus for that. We have Feral Druids. They nerf Feral Druids pretty hard. That is definitely my class, so that definitely hurts me to say. Rake and Rip reduced by 18% in PvP combat, and Ferocious Bite damage reduced by 25% in PvP combat was 20%. So Ferocious Bite didn't get a huge nerf, but it is slight. But Rake and Rip being Rake, Rip, and Ferocious Bite being the three most highest damage abilities that Feral Druids have, a nerf to all three does hurt Feral Druids quite a bit. They also nerfed Feral Frenzy, the damage reduced by 10% of PvP combat, and then also took away, or they reduced Frenzy Regeneration healing by 50%, was 38%. So them doing that as well kind of hurts the survivability a little bit for that. So I think that's going to be a little rough, but you know we'll get through it. And then balance, they got a buff all around. Bunch of increased damage in PvP combat. I think that's a huge bonus. I think I haven't seen enough balance druids or any at all, honestly, in PvP. So I think seeing more balance is going to be awesome, and seeing more druids, period, is great. Restoration, once again, Frenzy Regeneration healing reduced by 50% as well for them, and it was reduced by 38%. And then Budding Leaves is now 50% effective in PvP combat, was 70%. So they got a slight bit of a nerf and on survivability. So, but once again, they're a healer, so they'll be fine. They'll do fine. And then we'll move on to Evoker. It seems like they tried to adjust the Evoker a little bit. Not so much of just nerf them into the ground, which I'm okay with. I mean, new class. Of course, they were going to be a little bit, needed a huge adjustment, but for Devastation Evokers, their burst potential was too high. Being reduced to players have more time to react to damage. Makes more sense. Preservation, Dream Projection adjusted. It was too impactful and efficient in healing breakdown. So they just messed with one ability there. Nothing too crazy for the Evokers. Hunter, they didn't really mess with too much. Just a PvP talent that deals 10%. Roar Sacrifice, it now deals 10% of damage the target suffers to the pet, was 20%. Just pet survivability a little bit, I would say, from that. So nothing too crazy. Nothing. It won't affect them. Arcane mages, they nerfed Arcane Bombardment, said it's too effective of an execute. So I think that's a great nerf. But it's not going to affect them majorly. So I think there's a lot of executes in the game that need to be nerfed, and that was one of them. Mistweaver Monks, they did a slight buff to healing and help with mana regen. Fantastic. We need more healers other than Resto Druids and Priests. So I'm okay with the Mistweaver buff. Holy Paladins, their healing got buffed. So once again, great. Another healer we can add to the list. Ret Paladins, their burst got nerfed, but they got a slight adjustment or buff to sustain damage. So that's fantastic. I'm okay. I don't want Rets to be nerfed to the ground, but their burst was extremely high with the bubbles and then just being able to just hit for 100 plus K per hit. So Thank God they messed around and adjusted that a little bit. Restoration shamans. There was a slight buff to heals. Not a major change, but once again, another healer we can add to the list, which is great. Elemental. Um, Elemental shamans. There was a nerf to burst, which I'm a-okay with. I do think that they did quite a bit of damage. And then warrior, it looks like they got a slight healing and damage buff. Apparently, they weren't able to keep up with the other melee specs, but overall, I think this patch is a W. It does suck that Pharaoh got a nerf for me, but I think overall, I think the direction that they are going with PvP, I think, is fantastic and ready to see how the rest of the season goes. Anyways, I'm Bowrin. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.